Times were tough, so I sold my soul. And I don't think I'll ever regain control. Devil looked me in the eye, now I look the other way. What else could I do? I just stood at the doorway and knew I'd rather be drunk with you. I'd rather be drunk.
Hey Internet, Dracofunk here, and welcome back to my Reusable Space Program, Season 2, Episode 22. Today we are launching some more things to go to Duna. Right now, there is an monopropellant tank, and this is destined for Discovery Station in orbit of Duna. And we're just going to get it in orbit here. We've got a 100-kilometer apoapsis. Apogee would be in orbit of Earth. And we're just going to go ahead and circularize. Now, I've been talking about this for a couple episodes. That I need vehicles now whose sole job is to take infrastructure and parts throughout the solar system, and I need a separate fleet of ships that can just do this. And I decided they need to be the space trucks. We need space truckers to carry stuff all around the solar system, because we have stuff in Kerbin orbit, and we have stuff even in Duna orbit, but I need ships who that's their only purpose. Because so far we've had everything we've sent to Duna has kind of piggybacked on another spacecraft. And I'm kind of to the point where I don't really have any spacecraft that can do that. We have like the space tram that is going to be going back and forth between Duna and Kerbin, but it's not really designed, it's really only designed to carry passengers. And now that the monopropellant tank is in orbit, I'm going to go ahead and just deorbit this booster, but you've seen that. So let's launch some more stuff. So this is another fuel tank. I have made the observation in the Duna system, that most of the spacecraft, not all, but most of them, just use liquid fuel. Hey, good booster separation there. That's the whole point of the Reusable Space Program, is that we conserve everything, at least. Ooh, not a good booster separation. As I was saying, we try to conserve everything, we do not always succeed. But anyway, my observation is that I noticed most of the spacecraft in the Duna system only use liquid fuel. So it would make sense to have, at least in orbit of Duna, a large liquid fuel tank. So I have taken one of the large aircraft tanks that hold like 4,500 units of liquid fuel. And that is what is on top of this rocket that we are circularizing into orbit. And there you can see it. I have messed up and I did not disable the crossfeed, but that's not really a big deal. I probably needed that fuel to get into orbit anyway. So I did not get this in the most circular orbit, and I'm going to try and get it into a 100-kilometer orbit, but it's really not going to work out. So I'm going to end up just leaving it in this like 100 by 82-kilometer orbit, and that'll just end up being good enough. I will probably have to do a refueling job. But here it is, the first of the space trucks. This will be space truck number 1. Henfrey will be our first space trucker. And I think this one will be, Henfrey will be at least the first one, and will be actually part of the Highway 47 crew. I think all the other space truckers are going to be independent contractors, and I may experiment with alternate flags for them, but that's in the future. Now, I'm launching this, instead of the jet engines, I'm launching this with 2 strap-on liquid fuel boosters, just because I want to, it'll be easier to get up into orbit. So I did base the space truck design, at least this one. I kind of wanted to get the feel of the space trucks that were in the anime Cowboy Bebop. This isn't exact, but I'm also thinking that I will try different designs for the space trucks. Anyway, sorry, I have a background video that's I forgot about. But we are launching into orbit. I'm going to get it into, well, I'm going to circularize the orbit, and I really have a nice profile. Already have an apoapsis of 100 kilometers. And I bet I forgot to disable crossfeed, and I did. So I'm going to pump the remaining liquid fuel back into the space truck before I undock. Which means I've kind of towed the booster into a stable orbit, but I can deorbit that here in just a moment. Anyway, the space truck is now flying on its own, and it's mostly a full tank of fuel, and I'll just go ahead and deorbit this booster. And once that's done, I'll come back and kind of fix the orbit of the space truck. Now, I've designed the space truck to have a delta V of about 3,000, which isn't going to always be enough, but I'll show you that, what I'm going to do with that later. For now, I'm going to use the Ares craft to take all of these pieces and load up the space truck for its first mission. So here we are, coming to a rendezvous with the large liquid fuel tank. Just borrow some fuel from that booster, and now we can be on our way to rendezvous with the space truck. And let's see. Yeah, didn't think about that. So the Ares craft is not going to be able to tow this fuel tank. Well, that's okay. I can send the Ares craft out, and we can pick up that monopropellant tank. And we'll just have to send the space truck on its own to pick up that big liquid fuel tank. The good thing about the space truck is because the engines are out on this pylon, it should have no problem being able to tow larger items like that, which is part of the reason I designed it as such, which is also coincidentally the same reason they're designed like that in Cowboy Bebop. But anyway, so I'm using the rendezvous planner just to get to the monopropellant tank. Do a couple orbits around Kerbin. I did finally get all the solar panels repaired on here. I had to send up a special engineer with repair kits, and they were able to fix the solar panels on several craft that had managed to accidentally get damaged. But that's just routine maintenance, and that's part of what life would be like in a ongoing, sustained space program. And there is the monopropellant tank. The one thing Duna is very short on right now is monopropellant. It doesn't have enough, and it doesn't have any place to store it, even if it did. So unlike the fuel tanks, I can dock this to the front of the craft, which is better anyway, because I will need to dock it to the back of that large liquid fuel tank anyway. So now let's go back to the space truck, and let's have the space truck rendezvous with that large fuel tank, and then we can have the Ares craft take that monopropellant tank to the space truck and put it on the back, and then I'm probably going to do a bit of refueling mission. I'll have a Canterbury fly from the Mun station and dump some fuel into here, and I might even have to do it twice. So right now we're at about 2300 Delta V, which is more than enough for any in-system maneuvering. That'll go down a little bit once I have components docked to it, but we'll put some extra fuel in that big liquid tank, and that'll be plenty to get it to Duna. And there's the large liquid tank. I've also tried to make sure that the thrusters are oriented so it's easier for the space trucks to do their docking maneuvers. I have, in the past, not always been conscientious of this when designing the spacecraft, and it has led to a couple craft being difficult to dock. There we go. And there is some fuel in there already. As you can see, we're back to 3600 Delta V. So let's go back to the Ares now. let's get this monopropellant right over there to the space truck. Between that crossfade and here, I did go ahead and make sure I had this the space truck selected as a target. So a couple maneuvers later, and you can see my Delta V is getting very low on the Ares craft. And that is because this monopropellant tank is mostly full. And I did not realize how close I was getting it. We're down to like 36 Delta V. So yeah. Down to 12 Delta V, and I'm out of liquid fuel. So let's just use the monopropellant to get there. The good news in all of this is that I have an abundance of monopropellant since I'm carrying that big monopropellant tank. So now, just turning to make sure I slow down, and let's see, there we are. I can see it now. Actually going to thrust towards it. So that could have been kind of bad. So I guess I am going to have to do a refueling mission and probably make sure that the Ares craft stays docked so I can get the Ares craft refueled. Once it drops off this tank, though, even filling the smallest tank there is going to be enough to get it back to the space station. And there we are. Unfortunately, the space truck and the liquid tank, because that's all that's on there, there is no oxidizer. So the Ares craft is kind of stuck there until I can send a refueling mission. So that's what we're gonna have to do. Just gonna go ahead and put this on I'm gonna have to do this manually. Just want to put this on the same alignment plane as the space station, just to make things easier. And there we are. We should be aligned, and go ahead and extend the solar panels. I did not use the action groups this time because that would have lowered the solar panels on the Ares craft. But join us next time